marriage that we were kind of reenacting, and to frame us and to reveal us in different ways. And so it was about how the technology sees and how we were seeing, and this layering and revealing of that the technology is not just something that is in the room to serve us as a tool, but it's an active with us, creating the live film. And so the camera's on the, you don't necessarily notice it right away. It's very small in the middle of the table. And it's seeing us, and later it will start to move. But it has its own sight and its own way of framing us. And of course, we're sometimes very cognizant of how we're framed, and sometimes we're not. But we're sort of trying to be in this living room that we've brought these objects into, these things that we're acting with and are acting upon us and changing how we move in the space. And we are also in this piece kind of thinking about this relationship, this domestic kind of scene, this love and how we're supposed to love one another, and kind of it's a breaking down of a marriage of some sort. You might want to talk more about the camera and things like that, or show it later doing its panning. I don't know. So we're doing a lot of kind of representing ourselves. Oh, okay. Okay.
So again, sort of back to what I was thinking before with the stranger piece of being able to try to get the video off the back wall and be able to interact with it. This is kind of the reverse in some sense, that we wanted to be able to really bring the camera into the space and have it be able to see like in 360 degrees around and pick up different things and then reframe what's already in the space onto the wall. And it became really for us an investigation about trying to create live cinema, have the camera actually edit what we're doing in the middle of the live performance. I think we're out of time.
Does anyone have any questions for Sheldon or Lisa? Yeah.
Is this on?
Oh, that sounds like a reasonable question.
Oh, plug it in. Plug it in.
See, it's broken. Now we wonder.
Plug it in.
How does it work?
Plug in. They want to record it. It's an access issue. None of them are recording.
All right. I know that my microphone works, so I'm going to bring it over to you.
Oh!
Sorry. Sorry.
Something about plugging it in.
Sorry about that.
Thank you. It makes me jump. So this is more a comment than a question. I'm just intrigued by what you're bringing up from Latour, the black boxes of technology. And what I find very interesting about the relationship between media and dance is how the media can allow us to open up the black box of the theater, of the stage. And that's what I find so interesting, that we get to see the smooth over spaces of performance. We get to see that performance can be something that is not just in one place, where different people can interact, even though they might not be in one space together. Presence can become something very different. So that's what I find so interesting about media work and performance work. And I'm a community artist as well as a dance artist. And a few years back I had I had a wonderful experience, which was really quite lovely. A bunch of tech people, tech heads, came to us to want to work with us. And so we had all these wonderful toys to play with. The Center for Advanced Technology at NYU and Central St. Martin's in London came to me to ask me to try out a lot of the kind of tech that you guys are talking about, like VJ technology, multi-channel work, different things like that in community settings. And what was so interesting in that experiment is how it allowed us to think about the black box of the stage. Because it allowed me to work with people who couldn't commit to be in a certain space, in a certain evening for a performance because of disability issues or whatever. And by scratching material together beforehand and pre-recording that and having it part of a multi-channel available mix that we can just at any moment pull in, we just had this much broader opening of presence in the room with us. And we had, like all this cool sensor. Guys, do you guys know what text rain is? Text rain.
Camille Utterback's work piece with the rain coming?
No, there's a specific kind of performance tech that they're developing. I don't think it's actually available yet, but they were filming us dancing on the stage, and where the sensors pick up our silhouettes, we could plug in poetry, stuff that we had written. And on the background, you would have the poetry running through our silhouettes, but only where the silhouettes are. So people are doubled in a way that I think you would find really interesting. When you were using this work where you have people layering on top of one another and on top of one another, using something like that to bring in the word as well, in the shape of the moving silhouettes. They're not static, but they're moving in the same way as we're moving on the stage. It's just very fascinating. And I just found that these tech people were very articulate and interested in how, together with performance specialists, we could break open the black box. So
Yeah,
maybe you guys want to talk about that a bit more.
There's something about the time and space folding
that happens, that technology sometimes like that can allow us to bring people into the space that weren't there, or aren't there present right there, or they can be, someone who's passed on can be available to us in a performance setting, or something about the breaking of how we understand time. Oh yeah, and you've been in the teleimmersion. There's something I've been working with at UC Berkeley called teleimmersion, which some of you might know. It's kind of like really advanced teleconferencing, but it's also, you can think of it like avatars that are based on your own body images, rather than avatars that are based on graphics. So you can meet someone in a virtual meeting place. Say, instead of just conference calling where you just see the other person, on your screen, you actually see both of yourselves or multiple other people. You can shrink yourself and rotate yourself and turn yourself and do all these incredible, what we call digital options, because you become a collection. It's very surface oriented, it doesn't have a lot of depth yet or like muscularity, but it's this amazing kind of way to meet virtually, and it's something I'm really fascinated with. And it definitely does change. I'm doing these kind of experiments based on, if you're in there for a long period of time, it actually start to feel different, like the technology is acting upon your body. And so that's something I'm really fascinated with. And anyway.
Hi, Mr. Smith. I was confused by a term that you used several times, which was patches.
Yeah, thanks. Good question. I'm a little inarticulate tonight. It's been a long day. But the patches, there's a lot of different kinds of software that uses things called patches. Isadora, for instance, is set up so that, say, if I want to accomplish a certain task, which is to have my live feed camera capture my image, store it, and then play it back, those sequences of events could be programmed into what's just called a patch, or a scene, or whatever they want to describe it as. So then so for our work, for instance, it's actually built out of having a series of scenes. Each scene is sort of a patch of stuff. It's a graphical programming environment. So all the different things that you want to do are just tied together.